I feel very lost I feel about my relationship with my boyfriend. I don't know what to do, and I'm scared how it's impacting my mental health. Our relationship started online during the pandemic, when I was going through one of the most challenging periods of my life. He became a beacon of light in those dark days, and I was grateful for his support, even though I often refused his advances to take our relationship to the next level due to my depression treatment. Eventually, I agreed because I genuinely liked him, and also because he made me feel guilty for saying no repeatedly. This dynamic, I realize now, has been a recurring theme in our 2-year relationship. In the beginning, our connection felt like a lifeline. We spent hours on end talking on Discord, sharing our thoughts and feelings. I was retaking a year at university because of my mental health struggles, and he had a long-term health condition, so we both had a lot of time on our hands. We talked for 12 hours a day, every single day. He was the only person I really communicated with, and I found it increasingly difficult to talk to my friends and family. I relied on him in an unhealthy way, which created a dependency that I now see was detrimental to my well-being. As time went on, I started noticing unhealthy elements in our relationship. He would make me feel guilty for leaving our Discord channel, and I couldn't play games alone without having to justify my need for alone time. When we argued, he didn't listen to me, and I felt like there was no point in explaining myself. I'm currently working on my communication issues in therapy, and I know it's something I need to improve. However, I don't feel comfortable truly expressing my feelings to him, because his reactions historically have ranged from dismissing my feelings with, "I didn't mean it like that," to threatening self-harm if we were to break up. His constant emphasis on how lucky we are that he kept trying, and how strong he was to persevere has become a point of contention. It makes me feel like my initial refusals were wrong, and I owe him for his persistence. This guilt has been a heavy burden, making it hard for me to assert my own needs and feelings. I often feel that when I speak openly, it ends badly, with him taking it as a personal attack or criticism. Even though things have improved somewhat, and he tries to listen more, I still feel unhappy and lost. Last month I reached a breaking point and tried to end our relationship. His reaction was extreme. He cried, said he didn't believe in love anymore, and made me feel incredibly guilty for wanting to break up. The next day, overwhelmed by guilt and fear of being alone, I asked if we could try again. I thought maybe I was overreacting and should be grateful to have someone who loves me as much as he does. But now, I find myself in a worse state. I can't sleep, and I'm having panic attacks at night. Yet he seems happy, and I wonder if it's all worth it just to keep him happy. Due to a family emergency, he is coming to stay with me this week. He is excited, but I'm dreading it. We live in different countries, so we don't see each other often, and this visit feels like an impending storm. My mother advises me to talk to him about my feelings while he's here, but I know he won't understand. He's better at winning discussions, and I usually end up agreeing just to move on. If I tell him 2 weeks later that I want to end things, it feels like I'm leading him on or haven't tried hard enough. As the days pass, my anxiety grows. The thought of confronting him makes me feel paralyzed. I don't explain myself well under pressure, and I fear his reaction will be as extreme as before, making me feel even worse. I feel stuck, like I'm in a dark, endless tunnel with no way out. My self-esteem is at an all-time low, and I constantly worry that I'll never find anyone else, and should be happy that someone loves me. He is a wonderful and caring person in many ways, but his stubbornness and inability to understand my perspective make our relationship increasingly difficult. I feel like a bad person for even considering ending things, especially after all he's done for me. But at the same time, I know I can't continue feeling this unhappy and trapped. This inner turmoil is driving me to dark places, and I don't know how much longer I can endure it. As he arrives and we spend time together, the weight of my unresolved feelings and the facade of happiness become unbearable. Each moment together is a reminder of the gulf between us, the love he professes, and the emptiness I feel. My nights are sleepless, filled with panic attacks and a sense of dread about the future. The day comes when I can no longer keep silent. I gather the courage to talk to him, hoping against hope that this time he will listen and understand. I tell him about my unhappiness, my panic attacks, and my struggle to feel heard in our relationship. As I speak, I see the hurt and confusion in his eyes, but I push through, determined to be honest. He reacts as expected. He feels attacked, worthless, and accuses me of not appreciating his efforts. He threatens to harm himself, and I feel the familiar wave of guilt and fear wash over me. But this time, I stand my ground. I tell him that I need to prioritize my mental health, and that we both deserve to be in relationships where we feel truly happy and understood. The conversation is long and painful. He cries, and so do I. I feel like the worst person in the world, but deep down, I know this is the right decision for both of us. As he leaves, the weight on my chest feels lighter, though the sadness and guilt remain. In the days that follow, I focus on healing and rebuilding my self-esteem. I reconnect with friends and family, seek support from my therapist, and slowly start to find my own path again. The journey is tough, but I begin to see glimpses of a future where I can be happy and whole on my own. I still think about him and the good times we shared, but I remind myself that sometimes love isn't enough if it comes at the cost of one's mental health and well-being. I learned to forgive myself for the decisions I made and to believe that I deserve a relationship built on mutual understanding and respect. And so, I move forward, one step at a time, knowing that the hardest decisions are often the ones that lead to the greatest growth and healing.